She said it casually. A mimosa in one hand, lipstick smudged on the rim, her friends leaning forward as if they had been waiting for the punchline. "I'm calling off the marriage. I don't love you anymore." Bright daylight, soft jazz, the clink of cutlery. And my pulse, slow, heavy, almost bored. I stared at her for a second that felt like a lifetime. She expected a scene, a broken man, tears, anger, something dramatic enough to feed their gossip for weeks. Instead, I smiled. "Thank you for your honesty." I slid the ring off her finger myself. She didn't resist. Probably rehearsed this moment in her head a dozen times, maybe more. I placed the ring in my pocket, stood up, and tapped my glass with a spoon. Softly, deliberate. The restaurant fell quiet. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announced, calm as winter, "it seems I've just dodged a disaster. So instead of a marriage party, I'll be hosting a Dodged a Disaster celebration this Thanksgiving." A few laughs, nervous, confused. Her friends, once amused, now stared at their plates. I looked at her. No love, no fury, just emptiness. A cold acceptance spreading through my chest like ink and water. Something inside me snapped, not violently, but soundlessly, like a thread cut clean. I turned, leaving her sitting small in a place she once dominated. She didn't know it yet, but that moment was the beginning of her unraveling, and my awakening. But betrayal rarely blooms in a single sentence. It festers, it drips, it whispers months before it screams. I replayed the last year in silence, her late gym sessions, the secretive smiles when her phone vibrated at night, lipstick shades I never saw her wear at home but always found on receipts. She thought I never noticed the way she angled her phone away, how she laughed differently when texting, lighter, younger. I kept myself composed, sipping coffee across from her each morning. We still shared a bed, but our backs were turned like strangers waiting for sunrise to escape. The world believed we were perfect. She let them. I did too. But late at night, lying awake beside her warmth already meant for someone else, I began to understand. She didn't fall out of love, she redirected it. And she thought I was too blind, too soft, too in love to see the cracks beneath her foundation of lies. The brunch was just a performance. She wanted power, a public humiliation, to emerge as the one ending things, not the one who destroyed them. She never expected gratitude, or silence. Silence terrifies the guilty, because silence means thinking, planning. I began quietly. Phone records, bank statements, GPS history synced to our cloud. She forgot I set that up. I watched red dots trace paths to unfamiliar hotels, private apartments across town, screenshots, dates, times, every lie cataloged. Work dinners that never existed, yoga retreats that lasted too long, receipts for dinners with 2 glasses of wine when she said she was drinking alone. I visited Switzerland alone that winter, business trip on paper, but really something else. I met a realtor, signed papers for a villa overlooking the lake. Minimalist walls, quiet halls, and a view so peaceful it felt like stepping into another life. My escape, built silently under her nose. She thought she was leaving me. Humorless irony. She left a man she believed had nothing beyond her, unaware I had already built a world where she didn't exist. Thanksgiving approached. She didn't call, didn't text. I didn't either. But her friend accidentally posted a photo, her hand holding a man's arm, not mine. Same lipstick on a new glass. Same laugh, but cheaper this time. I saved it, not for pain, for confirmation. 2 weeks later, the results arrived. DNA test. Our daughter-in-law asked me why I needed it. Curiosity, I said, just curiosity. When the envelope came, my hands didn't shake. The truth was predictable. My so-called wife had been seeing her colleague for months. Their messages spoke like teenagers starving for secrecy. Meeting in parking lots, hotel rooms booked under false initials. She called him freeing, called me routine. The file lay open on my lap like an obituary, not of love, of illusion. She arrived home unexpectedly that evening, hair damp from rain, mascara smudged. Maybe she sensed the shift. Maybe guilt followed her like a shadow she couldn't outrun. She walked into the living room and froze. The documents were spread across the table: photos, bank transfers, GPS logs, hotel receipts. Silence hung between us like a loaded gun neither of us needed to fire. Her lips parted. No words, just air and panic. I leaned back. "Does your friend know?" I asked softly. "Or is he just borrowing what he can't afford?" She sank into a chair, shaken, pale. I watched her break, not with screams, but with silence identical to mine at brunch. It was exquisite. I didn't argue, didn't yell. I simply stood, picked up my suitcase, and placed a single key on the table. "The house is yours," I said. "Consider it compensation for the performance." Confusion flickered through her eyes, then fear. Because generosity from the betrayed is never kindness. It is freedom. Freedom from attachment, from love, from caring. I walked out into the cold, exhaling like a man finally breathing after years underwater. Thanksgiving arrived. I hosted the promised dodged a disaster party in Switzerland instead. Champagne, fireworks, laughter that wasn't fake. Photos posted online, not out of spite, but documentation of my resurrection. My phone rang, once, twice, 71 times. Her name on repeat. I let them all ring out. Eventually one message came through. "Our daughter-in-law, voice trembling, please, we want to come for Thanksgiving." I replied with one word: enjoy. Silence. Then another call, and another. I put the phone on the table, screen glowing, then fading like a dying heartbeat. In the quiet glow of the Swiss night, I sat alone by the lake. No anger left, just clarity. I loved a woman who loved herself more. I believed in a marriage she treated like an option. But in the end, she taught me something priceless. Attachment is the blade. Letting go is the hand that releases it. Somewhere back home, she was probably staring at the empty side of the bed, realizing too late she lost not a husband, but a man who had already moved on. I watched the moon ripple across the water, cold and silver. Freedom tastes like winter, sharp, clean, irreversible. And I whispered to no one, I dodged a disaster. Then I never looked back.